So I'm back with my new video, this time for lesson 7 of U.E.E grade 7 from book 3 Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. So without wasting much of the time, let's get started. These are the lesson objectives: to understand the history, economics, and culture of Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan, to analyze the changes that occurred after they became republic, the U.A.E link. U.A.E has won the independence in 1971 from the British. U.A.E has a rich culture, heritage, tradition, etc. The C.C link. It links with economics, as the topic gives us information about the economy of Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. Now, this is the warm-up question from the textbook. Please go through. Please subscribe to my channel. So let me just proceed further. Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan have intertwined culture, politics, and history. That means intertwined means that they are knotted together. You cannot just bifurcate or separate the history, culture, and politics of these two countries. They are so much entangled. During the time of Soviet Union, the region was under the control of USSR. At the time, both the countries were a part of Soviet Union and referred to as Turkmen SSR and Uzbek SSR. After the collapse of Soviet Union in 1991, both the countries gained their independence and established their official borders. That is very, very important. When a country becomes a republic after winning independence, then it has to have a proper, well designed border. So that is internationally recognized. The border between the two countries serves as Turkmenistan's longest border. So the border between Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan is said to be the longest border for Turkmenistan. But for Uzbekistan, this is the second longest border. Why? Because Uzbekistan shares a longest border with Kazakhstan. During the Soviet rule, both the countries were used to produce massive amounts of cotton and grain for USSR. These two countries became known as some of the biggest producers and exporters of cotton in the world. In some areas, these products were overproduced. Something over is always bad. Overeating, sleeping too much, or talking too much. Anything over is bad. So over here, overproduction also led to the land degradation and depletion of water supplies. Do you know the reason why the Aral Sea has become completely dry? It's only because of the overuse of the water from there for the production of cotton. Cotton is called as a white gold, and cotton was serving so much of money in foreign market. So they didn't mind using the water from the Aral Sea. As both the countries have a lot of similarities, there's also some differences. When compared by size, Turkmenistan is approximately 9% larger than Uzbekistan. But population-wise, however, Uzbekistan has much larger population than Turkmenistan. This is activity 1, very much from the textbook. Please go through. Turkmenistan is a country whose culture has impacted history. Unlike many other Central Asian countries, Turkmenistan is not landlocked and shares a portion of the Caspian Sea to the west. Bordered by Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan to the north and Afghanistan to the south, this country became an important destination for regional and international trade. If you look at the map, you will come to know that the Caspian Sea is lying at the west side of Turkmenistan. So because of its strategic importance, it has become an important destination since ancient times for both regional and international trade. So this country is not a landlocked country like the other Central Asian countries. Turkmenistan's name is multilingual like many of the other Central Asian countries. Its name literally translates to the land of the Turks. As one of the oldest cultures in the region, Turkmenistan's history includes encounters and subjugation by Persian empires, Mongols, Turkic, and Islamic armies, Alexander the Great, and more recently Russia. That means that they were always picking up arms and fighting, having lots of encounters, that is, lots of clashes going on. Then they had come under the domination also by the Persians, by the Mongols, and so on. Due to its central location and access to the Caspian Sea, Turkmenistan has historically had a trading industry. Not only was trade conducted across the Caspian Sea, Turkmenistan was an important stop along the Silk Road. So even the Silk Road people, those who took the wares and their important trading products from China, went through Central Asia, passed also through Turkmenistan. That means I suppose all the countries of Central Asia was covered by these people in the Silk Route. Let us see Turkmenistan's economy. While cotton has been one of Turkmenistan's main resource under USSR rule, it has many other resources that are profitable and work to boost the country's economy. While cotton ginning, oil pressing, and carpet making dominated Turkmenistan's industries of the past, newer, more profitable industries such as oil and natural gas are significant in Turkmenistan. That means they are not only too good in this resource of cotton, but they are actually doing so well in oil and natural gas industries too. Currently, Turkmenistan is world's fourth largest reserve for natural gas and oil. A network of pipelines link Turkmenistan's oil to the other neighboring regions, including a 1,800 natural gas pipeline which has been linked between Turkmenistan and China. Turkmenistan exports oil and natural gas not only to China but also to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. In addition to oil and natural gas, Turkmenistan also has a significant deposits of different kinds of natural resources or minerals, like you have the mirabilite, then iodine, bromine, sulfur, potassium, and salt. Turkmenistan's major trading partners are China, Turkey, Russia, and the U.A.E. Majority of its imports are coming from these countries, that is from Germany and South Korea. Its main imports are machinery and equipments, vehicles, metals, and chemical products. That means these are the things which are not made in their countries, so they are importing it from the other nations. 87% of Turkmenistan's exports are directed to China, with Azerbaijan and Turkey representing 2%, Romania representing 1.7%, Russia representing 1.5%, Georgia 1.1%, Italy 1%, Greece 0.5%, Croatia 0.4%, Cyprus, Singapore, and Kazakhstan representing the least, that is 0.3% only. This shows that Turkmenistan is such a country which is so much rich in natural resources, not only in cotton but also in the natural gas, oils, and other minerals. This is activity 2 from the textbook. Please go through. Let us see the culture of Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan's population is primarily divided into three main ethnic groups, that is the Turkmen, Uzbek, and Russian, with languages that reflect the population. Turkmenistan has roughly 5.5 million citizens, with 89% of its population practicing Islam. Alongside, you have that is 11% left for Eastern Orthodox Christianity and other religious beliefs. Initially, in ancient times, the Turkmen ethnic group was divided into numerous tribes, with Tike, Arsari, and Yumut being the largest. After the Soviet Union controlled the area, the tribes were brought together as a nation. Most of the countries we have seen historically, they had so many tribes, and those tribes got unified, and it was brought under a banner like how we have KSA, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So that also had many tribes, and these tribes were not surviving in peace and harmony with each other. Now let us see the continuation of culture of Turkmenistan. Turkmenistan has a relatively young population, with more than half of its citizens being below the age of 30. So that is a young population being an asset to the nation. If we have such kind of population, so it is looked upon as that we have got a working force, and that working force is to a great extent going to be good to the nation, that they would be contributing a lot to the progress of the nation. But those countries which has got children below 15 years and adults above 59 years, and they are more in number than the productive age people, that is from 15 to 59, then such a country is not looked upon as a country which is going to have asset in their population. So, like Tajikistan, it has a rich heritage in the arts, especially poetry and literature. Traditionally, poetry in the area was recited orally, but in the 1920s, after printing became available, a written literary tradition began to flourish. Both poets and intellectuals such as Abdul Hakim, Kul Muhammad Doghli, uh, began to produce works that enrich the area's culture and intellectual life. Written literature in Turkmenistan was originally composed in Arabic in the 1920s and 1930s, but soon transitioned. That means it was then changed or being translated into Latin and then into Cyrillic. 9th and the 10th century writing system developed by the Slavic speaking people. So what is Cyrillic? They have given you the definition also over here. After independence from the Soviet Union, the Turkmen language and was written for publication. Now let us see the government and education in detail. The Turkmenistan government is a presidential republic, which makes the president the head of the state and the head of the government. We have got two kinds of democracy. Some countries they follow parliamentary democracy, and other countries they follow presidential democracy. So this particular country follows presidential democracy, wherein the head of the state and the head of the government will be the president. The country initially used a Soviet-era constitution until independence from Soviet Union on October 27, 1991. So after they became independent, then they started following presidential democracy. After independence, a new constitution was established. So they made a new rule book, and then they started following those laws which were written in their rule book. That created different branches of government, including legislative, executive, and judicial branches. The transition, now there was a change from Soviet control to the independence, and that brought about various changes in the country too. Prior to Soviet control, Turkmen education was done through traditional Islamic schools called madrasas. So before the USSR holding its dominance in Turkmenistan, there were various Islamic schools called madrasas wherein the children used to get education. But after USSR took over the region, then the schools were replaced with Soviet schools, which consequently, resultantly lowered the literacy rate, because the people did not want their children to go to those Soviet run schools. After independence, a larger focus was placed on the education, and the Turkic language was heavily promoted in all the areas of Turkmenistan. Obviously, it's their language, so they will promote their language. So although the Soviet Union had kept this particular region of Turkmenistan under its control for many years, but still it couldn't have so much of influence in their life. They were back to their same lives how they were leading prior to USSR's dominance. Activity 3 from the textbook, please go through. Uzbekistan is often considered the geographic center of Central Asia. This landlocked country sits north of Turkmenistan, south of Kazakhstan, and west of Tajikistan. Like other Central Asian countries, Uzbekistan's name is multilingual. That means it's picked up from various languages, utilizing the Turkic words for Z for genuine and bek for men in combination with the Persian language that is Stan. Uzbekistan's name can be translated into both, that is land of the Uzbeks and the land of the genuine man. So the meaning is actually very beautiful because it's picked up from so many languages. Uzbekistan's history includes nomadic tribesmen and agriculture. When I say nomadic tribesmen, that means they were the tribals who kept on moving from one place to another. They were nomads. And some people had picked up agriculture or farming as their main occupation. Like other Central Asian countries, one of Uzbekistan's most productive crops has historically been cotton. But besides cotton, it also was rich in resources like gold, silver, copper, coal, uranium, lead, zinc, natural gas, and petroleum. With a population of 30 million, Uzbekistan contains over six ethnic groups. When I say ethnic groups, it means that it is the group which is following their own culture and tradition. So these ethnic groups include the Uzbek, the Tajik, the Kazakh, the Russian, the Karakalpak, the Tartar, and others. The official language is Uzbek. However, there are various other languages which are widely spoken, like Russian, Karakalpak, and Tartar. Most of the population, around 88 percentage, practices Islam, followed by Eastern Orthodox Christianity and other regional languages. I'm sorry, religions. This is activity 4 from the textbook. Please go through. So now let us see the economy. Uzbekistan is considered one of the world's leading cotton producers. Silkworms have been raised to produce silk since the 4th century. Uzbekistan has large reserves of oil, natural gas, coal, and minerals. These are the resources which are used within the country as well as it is exported to other nations. Dams are used, and dams are used like all the other countries. I mean, they are using the dams to generate electricity. In addition, they are also using the other energy resources like nuclear, coal, and petroleum. Minerals such as copper, gold, lead, molybdenum, then the tungsten and zinc are mined and exported. While other Central Asian countries have got gold deposits, Uzbekistan has relatively a low amount of gold, which must be extracted from the low-grade metallic ore instead of being mined directly. Uzbekistan's economy is supported by its manufacturing industry, which makes it one of the Central Asia's main producer of machinery and heavy equipments. So they are actually not so rich in natural resources, that is gold and all the other metallic resources, but they are actually good in making of the machineries and heavy equipments and tools. Uzbekistan exports lots of natural resources, including cotton, oil, natural gas, coal, silk, and fruit. Some manufactured goods, such as machines, cement, fertilizer, and textiles, are exported. The main export partners are Switzerland, China, Turkey, and Kazakhstan. while its main import partners are, that means the things which they are importing are from China, Russia, South Korea, and Kazakhstan. So here you can see a pie diagrams, and these are the pie diagrams showing you the imports of the nation and the exports of the nation. They are also showing you the destinations to which they are exported, and what are the items which are exported. That has been also been mentioned in the previous slide, so you get a clue about it. So these are the trading partners of this nation. This is activity 5 from the textbook. Please go through. So, culture. Uzbekistan has a rich and diverse culture. That means it has got variety in its culture. Why? Because it has got a mixture of ethnic groups, and those are reflected in their traditions, in their food, and in their customs. Traditionally, Uzbekistan's cuisine, that is the food items included, is distinct, is different from other Central Asian cultures, as it is based on the agricultural and cultural influences. The main staple, that is the daily diet of the people, typically include the bread and noodles because of the large amounts of grain that is produced in the country. Mutton is also widely eaten and reflects the country's agricultural background. Uzbekistan has a rich literary history. Uzbek literature and poetry spans back to the 11th century and has Indian, Persian, and Turkish influences. In the 11th century, an Uzbek scholar named as Al-Biruni wrote geographic books about India and natural sciences, which is still considered a national treasure. In the 15th century, a large observatory was founded in Samarkand, Uzbekistan, by the famed astronomer and mathematician Ulugh Beg. In the later period of the 15th century, Turkic language-based literature was advanced by the famed scholar and poet Ali Shir Nawa. These ancient cultural influences are still felt in the literature, poetry, arts, and culture of Uzbekistan today. That means that they had such kind of intellectuals, the good poets, the good writers in their country. So they did not have scarcity of such kind of people, which brought the culture to the fore, to the world, and the people get the glimpse of their culture through such kind of literary works. So Uzbekistan adopted a new constitution after the Soviet rule on 1st September 1991. Uzbekistan has got a presidential constitution republic. Presidential constitution republic, that means they've got presidential democracy in their country. There are two kinds of democracy. One is parliamentary democracy, the other one is presidential democracy. Parliamentary democracy is being practiced by UK, India, and many other countries, whereas presidential democracy is being practiced by USA, France, and so on. So over here, you have the presidential democracy being adopted by Uzbeks, and they have got their legislature, then the executive and judicial branches. So, like any other democratic country, they have also got these three bodies, similar to Turkmenistan. Top members of the government include the president, the prime minister, localized ministers, and deputy ministers. Obviously, they need the help of these many ministers to run the government. Legislative powers is held in two chambers, that is they call it as Oli Majlis, and that is the Senate and the legislative chamber. So how we have got in India the two kinds of houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In that same manner, even they have got two chambers over here, the Senate and the legislative chamber. Activity 6 from the textbook, please go through. So thank you so much for watching my channel on SST.
And just signing off with a humble request to please subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet. Press the bell icon for the notification of my latest videos. Share it with your friends, relatives, and acquaintances so that they can get benefited by my videos. See you next time with my new video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.